Kyle, in the book, you've got all these fictional obstacles that the main characters have to get through. What do you think are the biggest non-fictional obstacles that believers have to face today?
Yeah, so our characters encounter everybody from like an atheist guy who's like in a cave writing, "There is no sun on the walls," which is obviously, we stole that. And, all kinds of people that are trying to pull them this way and that way, whether that's political figures or religious figures that want them to do different things. We talked about the legalism. But honestly, the main challenge that we put our characters through was this need to constantly have what Nietzsche called the long obedience in the same direction. And he was obviously writing from this kind of nihilist or existentialist, go find meaning and then walk towards it. But for us, we redeem that to mean the long obedience in the same direction of what your external purpose is that God has called you to. There is a purpose for your life. We in the church, I think, have made too much of the big celebrity pastors, the people who do these, big acts for Jesus, and like we have a character early on in the book called Radical, and he's like let's go off and we're going to be missionaries and we're going to, change the world.
Right. And
as soon as he hits the swamp of depression, he's like, "Oh, forget this. I didn't sign up for this," and he takes off. He was inspired by Pliable in the original Pilgrim's Progress. But for us, we kind of updated, like my generation had this bent of like, we're all going to go out and be missionaries. And like 99% of us didn't.
That's right. Yeah.
So
we sang Kumbaya in youth camp, and we were going to go save the world, right. And then we got back to
so
reality.
maybe that's the same in every generation. I don't know. You're obviously much older than I am.
How much?
Much.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But so for my generation, we had to cope and grapple with this idea that maybe sometimes God wants us to be this ordinarily faithful Christian. On a personal note, like I used to be a pastor. I used to be a co-pastor of a church in San Diego. And I'm not a minister anymore. Like I'm just a regular guy in the pews at church. And that can be a hard transition to go, I was preaching the word, I was converting people, I was baptizing people. And now, is God pleased with me when I get my family up for church on Sunday and I manage to drag the kids and get them dressed and get them to church on Sunday? Is that my discipleship and my obedience? And is God pleased with that? And so I think that slow plodding, one step after another, one foot in front of the other, is kind of the message of this book. And I think that is the struggle that we face as Christians. It's long faithfulness over 70 years, and I have so much respect for the pastors who are like pastoring a church of 50 people in the middle of nowhere,
right?
And they're just faithful. I have a lot more respect for those guys than the celebrity pastors who have the church of thousands and then they fizzle out in a scandal or something, and they're gone. Here today, gone tomorrow, whatever. So I don't know. Maybe that's just my personal experience, but what I see is like we are faced with so many heresies and so many different influences that want to pull us off the path this way and that way. And the people that can remain faithful to the end, that's the constant call of Paul that he calls us to in the epistles. It's like, just be faithful, have endurance, endure to the end, and that's the call that we kind of put to people in the book.